guys, today we're gonna do the Galaxy Live tutorial. Sorry I look a hot mess. I'm measuring the epoxy so we can get started. Alright, so first things first, you measure your epoxy. Y'all know the 1-to-1 ratio. And for the Galaxy, I'll show you what I'm using. I usually grab a whole bunch of colors of like pinks, blues, greens, purples, pinks, whatever color that I feel is Galaxy enough. And that's what I use. I spray paint my base black and let it dry. So we have that spray painted. Alright, so you want to mix it, get it good. I use the art resin. I buy mine from Backfist Customs. And so what I do is using the epoxy method, that's how we apply the glitters. I don't too much worry about bubbles since we're just using it as a adhesive. But I am gonna do the epoxy method. So you just take a little bit, just a little bit, Lorinda. This is for the epoxy method. And you smooth it on and you just rotate it. You just use the same little bit to get it everywhere. And I'll get this on and then I will show y'all the colors that I'm using tonight. And I will let you know that no Galaxy ever turns out the same. I've done a few and none of them ever turn out exactly the same. And you need to know that. So you just have fun with it and you learn as you go. See, so see how it's all smooth and it's just a little, like, I will take the epoxy that is on my hand and I will put it back in if it's too much. So that's how I save. My epoxy, and then I just make sure I get it all on the bottom. There's that, and then I'll use this for molds, or I got some other to do. Atlanta Nights, you're gonna need Atlanta Nights always. I'm going to use this purplish blue color, Mermaid. Fines work better than chunkies for me. I'm gonna use Electric Orchid, Electric Rain, some Electric Coral, a little bit of green, and this Gypsy Rain that I like. So then for my micas, I'm going to use this turquoise blue. I love the way that one looks. Electric Red from Backfist, an electric bubblegum, and then this doesn't have a name, but it's number 1 from Mr. Nolia's, and then this India ink. It's iridescent blue. So I'm stepping in epoxy. Okay. So now I'll take my heat gun just to, I do try to pop some bubbles. All right, so really quick, I'm just gonna do this. And this just kind of pops it and warms up the epoxy. I feel like warming up the epoxy does something don't know if it does, so if it doesn't, I mean, if you don't do it, I don't think it's gonna harm anything. All right, then what you wanna do, micas, and oh, and I have these are the stars I use at the very end. Micas and alcohol ink is at the very end. So usually what I do is I take a very little, I'm gonna use mermaid tail first. This is like my new go-to glitter. Let's see. Take this off of here. All right, so what you're gonna do is just, you take some and you very lightly shake it. A very, very, very thin line, you see? And you just put it wherever you want it. Lines, circles, whatever. And as the light hits it, it will look different. So I usually do like a light and a circle. And I am gonna be very bad. I'm not gonna be changing my things out, what catches it. I'll just mix it all together. So you see, that's how you start it off. And then I'll take like my purple and just lightly go over it. And you kind of want to overlap. See? And I kind of blow on it because as the glitter travels, that's when it starts doing all the cool stuff, as I call it. And you see how the electric purple looks blue? Alright, so now let's see. I'm gonna do electric coral. And again, you want to overlap just a little bit. And it's okay if it starts to look like it's all a blob. That's okay. How it's starting to look like constellations or nebulas or something. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And you see how it travels and it just gives it that look. Now you can use as many or as little glitters as you would like. Now I'm going to use a little bit of a chunky one. And I don't always go around full circle. So like I might just do half of it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll just do half of it. Let's see. I'll do this one all the way. And that's how it starts. And then I'll come back in. I'm gonna do Gypsy Rain. Can't find my bottle of this. I have a bottle, shaker bottle. But just over. And what's cool is even if you mess up, it's okay because of what I do at the end, which is really cool. But sometimes I'll just tap and let it, you see how like it shifts? That's why I like the color shifting type glitters for this. And then I'll come in with a little bit of blue. And then I'll just put it in random spots. And then dump it on. Alright, see? Oops, sorry. And this is the beginning of your galaxy. Now I'm gonna add my green because I forgot, and I'm just gonna add it to random spots. Again, just like the rest. And it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Okay, so now this is the fun part. Are we ready for this? I'm gonna take my Atlanta Nights, and y'all see this? Are we ready? Oh, and this cup is dry, y'all, just so you know, that cup is fully dry. But we're gonna take this, and you're just gonna dump it on. Dump it on. It doesn't matter if it overlaps or gets on anything, because with the epoxy, it's only gonna take where it doesn't have anything already at. Now watch, when it comes back full circle, none of that will be on there. Okay. And then I bang it just a little bit to get all that extra glitter. And then I'll dump this right back into here. And I got all my Atlanta Nights back. All right, and then y'all see, all your colors are still there. See? Everything is still there. And then what I'll do is just for a little effect, and I do this more when I put the next coat of epoxy on after this dries in about 4 hours, but I'll show you a little bit now. So what you'll do is put this back. So I'll take, let's see, we'll do a little bit of electric red. And this is the electric red pigment from Breakfast. And I'm just gonna take the lid that it was sealed with, and I'm just gonna drop it in. And then blow. And then when you do, like, okay, say right here, there's some epoxy, so I can show you some wet epoxy. So then I'm gonna take this one, and I'll just take my little spoon, and just a little bit of these powders go a long way. So as you see, it's right there. And then if you blow it, it like turns purple, which is pretty cool to me. So I just place it different places. And then like I said, I do it again when I put my next layer of epoxy. That's when I'll go in really put them on to kind of make it look cool. And then you can drop a little bit of India ink where the colors are, like this. Let's see if it'll come out. If it'll come out, I can show you. And then it just, as it turns, it does something, I don't know. It runs, but it looks cool. The India inks are not required, it's just something I do. So that's how you do that, and I will definitely post updates. But so that's how you do that. And then, like I said, for the different micas, it's not gonna ruin it if I do this. But you just drop them on and blow, and it, let's see, did y'all see that? How that did that? How it just gives it that really cool effect. Can y'all see that? Anywhere like I think it's too dark or too not enough color, I just do like that, and it just adds an effect. And this is electric bubblegum, and I'll just take some pink and put it in there. And like I said, because the epoxy is wet and there's already stuff on there, if there's something on there, it won't keep it. So when doing the Galaxy, that's what makes it so playable, is because of the epoxy method. So, and that's how I do that. Is there any questions? And it always looks horrible in this stage. I just want everybody to know that. It looks horrible in this stage, and then after it's dry and you put your next layer of epoxy on, that's when it starts to look really pretty. I'll do a flood coat of epoxy, which is just like, I'll use a lot of epoxy, and then I'll add just a little bit more of the micas into it for effect, and I'll blow on it, and that's how I finish it. And then I do a decal, and then last layer of epoxy. Okay, this is part 2 of the Galaxy tutorial. This is the cup from last night's live. It is completely dry. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the epoxy that we mixed, and we are going to make sure that it's mixed well. And you're just going to layer it onto the cup as if you're doing just a regular coat. So you wanna get a good amount of epoxy on there and mix it, lather it on. I do a flood coat so that way I don't have much to sand for the next layer. So I apply the epoxy, and as it's spinning, I am going to make sure that all of my spots are covered. And again, you want to make sure that the cup is covered fully with epoxy. Not too much that it's running everywhere, but enough that it is going to coat the whole cup. So don't be afraid to go over it a couple times, making sure that it's as smooth as possible. And this is where I am going to apply some more micas, some more India inks, and my stars to complete my Galaxy look. So after it is completely done, I'll let it spin for a few minutes, and as it's spinning, I will get my mica's ready. This is again mica's from Mr. Nolia #1, and I'm also going to add just a little bit of the #2. I will also use the turquoise mica from Glitter Glams, and I'm going to add a little bit of magenta India ink and the blue India ink from last night. I'm also going to use my 4-point stars from Glitter Glams, the Stargasm. So as that is mixing, I am going to take my torch and I'm just going to get all the air bubbles popped out, because you don't want air bubbles. So just really quickly, not too much. You can adjust the heat. Just make sure, you just want to make sure that your epoxy is as smooth as possible and that you have no air bubbles. So just really fast go over it. You don't want it too close, but you don't want it too far. So somewhere in the middle, like right here, is good. Just make sure everything is good. So then you turn that off. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my micas, and again, just take a little spoon. I got this one from Back This Custom and it works perfect. And just a little bit, as you can see, and I just dab it on like that. And I blow. And as it comes around, you can see how it just kind of gives that effect of like a galaxy, or I don't know. It just gives the effect that I like. So again, just dab it and blow. And if your epoxy is too wet, it will blow the epoxy, but it's okay, because the epoxy, as it's spinning, it will round itself back out, which is what you want it to do. So then I'm going to just clean that off really quick. And then I'm gonna take #1 from Mr. Nolia's, and this one changes colors, so just a little bit. Again, as you can see, let's see, it's not much, and I just sprinkle it on, and that's the effect. And then as you blow it, it changes. So again, add a little bit to where the glitter is, and I'm gonna add it to right here, so you'll be able to see it as it comes back around. And I really like this one because it does shift change. I have some from Back This Custom that I will be using. Unfortunately, I haven't got to experiment with those yet. And again, #2 is more of a purplish blue color, as you can see right there. And as you blow it, it gives the shooting star effect. I guess that's the effect that I get. So then I will just take a little bit of my India inks and drop it. And as it turns, you'll see it's gonna start spinning, giving me just gives off a vibe to me that I like. And I can take my heat gun and just move it a little bit, and as I move it, it changes the effect and kind of gives off something. It gives off a striped look that I like. I don't know if it's catching that well, and I will take pictures to post also. But when the epoxy is wet, if you feel like the micas got too close, you can warm them up, and that takes the effect and makes it the way you want it. So I'm going to do the same thing with the blue. is add a little bit and take my heat gun and let it move, adding its own effects. And then, oops, I'm even gonna take just a little bit. I have a pearl mica, and I'll take a little bit of this pearl mica that I got. This is from Stardust. It is Pearl, that's the name of it. And I'll take a little bit of it, just a little bit, because it's white, it will affect it a lot more. But just mix it, and because it's pearl, it's just white. It will just be white, but it gives you a little bit of room to work with, as you can see. So we'll do that. And now the fun part, I take the stars, and this I do with my hand. I take just like that many and I sprinkle them. This gives it the scattered effect without making them clustered. This is how you get them to be sprinkled like it is a night sky, and not, it gives it a more natural effect instead of just stars clustered together. And you can add as many or as little as you like. And that, so I do that, and then just a little bit more of my mica. I'll take some, this is number 2 from from Mr. Noya. And if you drop it around the stars, it makes the stars look like they're embedded into the sky, which is kind of cool. And that is how I finish off my galaxy. Now let's see. I'm gonna try and bring you close without messing this up. But this is the finished product. And then you put whatever decal on, or no decal if you don't want one. You see the effect of the India inks right here. And it gives off the really cool effect. And that is how I finish it off. Thanks for watching, y'all.